When war was declared after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, that was unbelievable. I was only 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school. Wasn't wet behind the ears yet. Didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. Papers finally broke, it's in Hawaii. It was the talk of the town. We all gathered up the corner, Farrell's candy store, and we started talking. We were predicting when it was going to be over. 2 weeks, a month, knocked those Japanese right out of the ballpark. We'll do this, we'll do that. 15-year-old kids. Within a couple of weeks, maybe a week, 10 days, I had my first and only father and son talk. He says, you're going to have to go to war. The day will come that you will have to go to war. I was born in Forest City, Pennsylvania, which is upstate near the New York border, little coal mining town. Finished school at age 17. Lost my dad that year, 1943. I now became the man of the house as we speak of back there in the coal fields. I had two young sisters, 8 and 9. I was 17 with a widowed mother. My father was right. I was 18 at that time. November, I received my notice to report for duty. I was down getting a physical, and what do you want? I said, Navy. And I was off to the Naval Boot Camp at Sampson, New York. I happened to have a Bureau of Mines first aid certificate, so the Navy decided I was qualified for the Medical Corps. My first assignment after that was Memphis, Tennessee, at a large naval base, treating the sick and the wounded. And the gentleman, Chief Petty Officer, just told me he had orders to send me inside to the Naval Hospital. And I said, I'm not equipped for that. I don't want to go inside, not knowing that you didn't say no in the Navy. He said, oh yeah, there's 2 ways you don't have to go in. You can join the Navy Amphibious Forces. Over in Europe, you go in with the Navy. You're on the beachhead with the troops. And I remember making the comment to him that sounded dangerous. I said, is there any other way out? And he said to me, yes, you can join the FMF, the Fleet Marine Force. So I arrived overnight in South Carolina from Memphis, Tennessee, Camp Lejeune, and they soon made a Marine out of me. After 8 weeks of training there, we embarked on a troop train, 1,500 corpsmen, now sent to Camp Pendleton, California. We were on our way to the South Pacific. I only spent 2 weeks there. That was just to wait till a ship come in troop ship that was coming in. That ship took off, we headed directly for Hawaii. We pulled in, got refueled, took 24 hours. The next morning, we pulled out. We shagged right for the lower part of the Marianas Chain, which is Guam. I was assigned to the B Company, 1st Battalion, 9th Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, as their corpsman. It was about February the 10th. We come over the horizon, and all the ships in the world surrounded this island. Battleships, aircraft carriers, cruisers, destroyers. I didn't know there was that many ships in the world. All of a sudden, over to PA, we were told we were at Island X, known as Iwo Jima. It didn't mean anything to us. What's one more island? But it's different. They just didn't let us come in there. Iwo Jima was known as a prefect. That is a suburb of Japan. It was the first Japanese soil we were going to take. Now we're at their homeland, knocking on the door. Once you started your Higgins boats in, and they're machine gunning in, dropping mortars all around you, I knew this was the real deal. Some men were upchucking, And all of a sudden, your fear is high. You're gonna die. Everybody has that. I was taught by the Marine Corps, if you come across an officer in battle and he loses control or breaks down, it's my duty to get rid of him. If he's crying, he wasn't fit to lead. The first 2 men I treated when I got out of my Higgins boat, one was an officer. I found him crying on his knees. He was my first patient. I wrote him a ticket up and put him on the same boat we come in on. Right next to him was a machine gunner, a private. He was sitting on 2 cans of ammunition and crying. I did the same thing to him. I gave them a free pass back to the mothership. The battle was extraordinary, and we were only gaining yards at a time, sometimes only feet at a time. You couldn't see the enemy. They were shooting out of little pinholes, apertures in the earth. To tell you the truth, all throughout the battle, I never saw a Japanese soldier. He was underground, and we were on top with no cover. But we just kept coming, and we just kept coming, and we just kept coming. Once Marines get on an island, you're not going to knock us out. On the day of the 6th of March, orders came from division headquarters that this just our General Erskine wanted to make this attack in the middle of the night. We charged through there and went 250 yards right to the end of the island. We tore up something awful on that charge. I lost 50% of my platoon. When I was asked by my lieutenant, who was a replacement officer, for a count, I told him we had 25 men left, plus you and I, and one other man, a good friend of mine, Boswell. Iwo Jima was supposed to be taken in 5 days. It took us 36 days. I averaged 25 people a day. That's how bad the casualties were. When you received the title of Doc, you knew you measured up. My job was to save lives. We went back to Guam for R&R on a troop ship again, and we rested up. R&R, basketball. We were going to go into training heavily in September, which we didn't know it at the time, but the invasion of Japan was slated for early November, and it never happened. Nothing but joy and jubilation. We were happy teenagers. So I came home. Took me 5 days to cross country, night and day. The bus never stopped. I arrived in Midway, Pennsylvania. A little gypsy line dropped us off. I finished the trip, missed the bus, and I took a tractor trailer, hitched a ride with them to Easton, Pennsylvania. I arrived in about midnight, walked into the door, I knocked on the door. My mother was still up. Loved her, hugged her, all that old bit. We went to bed. And then I went right down to my wife's house the next morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, knocking on her door. Caught her with her hair up and all that old bit. Another joyful reunion. Happy to be back together with my family and my girlfriend, which only lived a quarter mile away. And that was the joy of it all. That's when the war was over for me. All I remember ever learning was war is hell. We were all patriotic in those days. I itemized just exactly what was important to me, and it was my God, my family, and my country. I serve my God, I serve my family, I serve my country. That's patriotism. My wife and I started going together, not dating, nothing like that. I just noticed her in our sophomore year, got serious in our junior year. I started courting her quite heavily, going down to the house. I was engaged right out of high school at age 17 before I went into the service. I got discharged February the 4th, 1946, and we set our wedding date for May 28th. We got married at age 20 with our parents' signatures. We had 4 beautiful children, and they gave me 5 grandchildren. When I say they gave me, they gave us 5 grandchildren. 73 years, and we celebrated 68 years of marriage, and 5 years makes 73. We met as sophomores in high school at age 15, and 2 months from now I'll be 90. She's been gone a year. She wore that engagement ring all her life. I never had a wedding ring. I couldn't afford it when we got married. But I wear hers today. It's what is known as your love of your life. I had St. Michael, the archangel, envelop me at all times. It's the only explanation I have for surviving. And I wear the hat to this day. I'm an Iwo Jima survivor. Nobody wanted to be a hero, but every mother's son was a hero.